And here we go. How is everybody's Tuesday? Welcome to the workshop for this evening. I'm gonna keep working on Pumat tonight. And we'll see how far through we get. Jester finished up, and I think that overall the base looks really good, so calling her done. Where was I? I was working on this purple, I think, on Thursday. Let's get this cord out of the way so I don't trip on it. I believe I was using... Was I using alien purple? Now I gotta find what I was using. Oh no, it was orc blood, wasn't it? It definitely was. Yeah, it was this one. It was this one. Well, Mr. Dragon, as long as you don't abuse it, I'm sure that the community will help out because they are awesome. And actually having folks consistently show up is the reason why I keep coming back. So, I'm not hoarse, I'm just... I don't know. I think I was just kind of not speaking up. Yeah, vocal meh. I guess it's kind of a recovery from, I mean, not abuse a sub, I mean, like, constantly ask about it every month. Hey. Hey now. Alright, where's this? This camera is not looking in the right spot. I mean, it kind of is, but it's kind of not. There we go. Whoop! I just threw the cap. That's a new one. I partially unscrewed the cap while I was shaking it. And if this wasn't one of these applicator bottles, that would have been Thanks. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what it would have been. Speaking of phrasing, it would have been sploosh everywhere. As it was, I did get a little bit on the counter. No, actually, it did go a little bit. Got some on. Got some on here. Got some on here. Okay. Well, hopefully that's a good tiding for the evening. It's possible. I mean, as I mentioned earlier in the chat, time is nebulous at the moment. One of the few things keeping me on track is this particular stream schedule. So, I think I wanted the 0. Hey! Yeah, the bracers, I'm going to keep going. The bracers have some work to be done. I was working on purples when we finished up last stream port, and I'm going to continue working on those bracers as well. Oh, hey Alpha. How's it going? That is a legit question. It does make me pretty happy when other folks are also working on fun projects. Got too much on it that time. I didn't have enough on it the first time. I got too much on it this time. It looks like I had actually worked up to another... Hey, Brush! Thank you for the host. Super appreciate that, man. That is fantastic. Brush for Hire arguably is a better painter than I am by a long stretch. He is a fantastic artist, so if anybody here... Poser Ninja 2? What the heck? It's 2 hosts this evening already. Thank you very much. That's super cool. Yeah, no, I mean, it's true, but I mean, you have a more refined set of skills. I totally appreciate it, and it's not about how many followers you have. It is about... It's just about the it's the thought that counts in this particular case, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it was getting super toasty. Oh, what was I doing? I think I was going to try and highlight into Warlord Purple, but I'm going to have to mix it up a little lighter. So I was going to grab some of this stuff, some of the Warlord Purple, which I tend to go towards. It's what his hair base color is. Yeah, all hosts help, Brush. That's absolutely true. Nice. I don't know what kind of energy level I'll have this evening. I'm, you know, Sunday sort of kicked my behind. I was not in a great mood on Sunday, so I've been sort of ramping back up during the week. No, dude, you're fantastic, and from what I can tell, you're one of the nicer folks. I have to put you against Betty as far as nice goes, and Betty is amazing. You are also a super kind person, and you are also fantastic for... I just popped in to ask you a question the other day, and you immediately shouted out my channel, and that's amazing and unnecessary, and I mean, it's just one of those things, you know. It's one of those things. Little bits of kindness here and there definitely make a big difference, especially right now in the world. So I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, exactly. But Brush is awesome because he, like, as soon as you pop in, if you're in chat, I didn't say anything about, you know, I stream, or I didn't try and promote myself, and he was just like, hey, he said hi, and then bang, immediately links the stream, and I was just like, whoa. Super nice guy. And again, thank you very much for the host, both of you guys. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun just to surprise folks with a random, you know, random nice mention or a little hello or whatever. It's not even... It takes 2 seconds to do. And I mean, you're on point pretty much every time I've seen you in your stream, whereas I am not. I keep thinking that I should stream for longer periods of time during the day. What? I'm not necessarily on point. I don't have anything set up for like nice smooth transition, like hardly interrupting what I'm doing shout outs for people that come in. Like I'd love to just post Brushes stream in chat, Poser stream in chat, anybody who comes in who's trying to do something on Twitch, I will happily help push that boulder, get some momentum behind it. That's kind of what I'm aiming for. But yeah, I just want to hang out, chat with you guys, get some nice pieces done. There we go. This is coming along. It's hitting the spot where I want it to be. I don't want it to be too jarring of a highlight on this purple. I want it to be pretty subtle. Well, I don't blame you for that. I mean, anytime I've been able to pop over, you've had 60 some odd people in chat or more, so I get it. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I get that most of the work I've been getting done has been on stream. Like, if I can, I'd like to start streaming more during the day and stuff like that, just to kind of get the work done. Aliastra's dragon showed up in the mail, I think, yesterday. So it's sitting behind me on the shelf, getting ready, waiting its turn. It is a young brass dragon that we're going to do in sort of an anodized titanium kind of paint scheme, which should be a lot of fun. Hey, Louie Bob. Wow. $54 hours a week. That's a lot, but it makes sense. I have a 5.5-year-old, and it is the summer, so at the moment I don't know that I can dedicate that much time during the week to it. I'd love to be able to, but I gotta help Tess out too. I gotta keep that was wow. That sort of rolled out of my mouth and didn't even make a word. That is one of the things I really enjoyed doing when I ran the shop. When I was managing the Games Workshop that I used to run. I really enjoyed doing the like painting lessons. Oh man! Thank you, Improperandi. You did not have to do that. You did not. Awesome. How's Brandon is gonna be happy. Ziggy Smalls. I think all of those folks just kind of showed up recently to say hello in chat. I mean, like last week or so. So he's got these suspenders, and I'm not sure how I want to do them yet, but... Yeah, I totally agree, Brush. Like, painting this anodized titanium color scheme dragon is gonna kind of push me in a direction I don't typically go in, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And more often than not lately, I've been kind of avoiding the metallic paints. Sort of in lieu of kind of trying to give the illusion of metallic with non-metallic colors. So. Are you guys getting cool? Are you guys still getting cool emotes? Because those are awesome. I need to get down here. So he's got these little filigrees and things on his jacket, and I'm just painting over them right now because I'll be going back and getting in there and highlighting those. Yeah, I think the only way you could do spreadsheets on stream, Peaches Groupie, is if you were playing EVE Online. Hey, you know what? If you probably have some spreadsheet insights that a lot of people haven't necessarily picked up on. Sharing the knowledge is never a bad thing. Yeah, Gillian, you get to play with the emotes. I love those. I asked if Betty was going to be able to hang out tonight. She's a little tired, so I will not be surprised if she doesn't stop by. I told her to make sure she takes care of herself first, but we do miss her. We do miss her in chat. But Betty was the one who made my emotes, and they are amazing. All right, there we go. That's kind of the effect I was looking for. It's pretty subtle as opposed to being like a super extreme highlight. I think I'm going to do the Everland Sunset base coat on the suspenders. I figure they're kind of probably leather like the bracers are. That sucker on the wall, my mom got it for me for Father's Day, but I found it on Amazon. It's like a makeup rack. It's literally it's just a makeup rack. One of my old friends said that he was going to try and design me a paint rack, a wall-mounted paint rack. And I certainly have more paints and will be getting more paints. So I'm not maxing that out yet. Yep. That's what it is. I think it was like $35 or something like that. So it wasn't super expensive, but it wasn't like a extra cheapo. It's just like, I don't know. It's just plastic. got some mounting screws in it to keep the little shelf guard in place. That's too wet. Rinse it off. So I'm just working my way around these suspenders. I'm being careful mostly because I've done the under layers already. I don't want this to be messy. So we're just working details on this guy right now. Taking it slow. But again, everybody makes a little bit of a mistake here and there. It's not a big deal. We can go back and we can fix it. A couple of different ways. If it's, you know, it's not too big of a deal, then we can just hit it with the wet tip of the brush and kind of clean it up. But if it's kind of like this one I did, the paint was too wet. So the suspender is kind of running a little bit. So I'm going to have to go back in on the purple underneath and try to touch it up. Because it's going to be messy if I get into it too much. If I dry the brush off, sometimes you can drag it right along the corner and neaten it up a little. But not in this case. It's okay. We'll fix. Close this before I knock it over and make a huge mess. Just gonna go right along the edge. Kind of trace the outside edge of that with the color that I've been using for the highlight. Something I haven't mentioned before, but if anybody has tips or tricks that they want to share, I am always up for learning new stuff. Absolutely, Brush. You enjoy that time. Say hello to your wife. Tell her that we super appreciate you, and thank you again for the host. Have a lovely evening. All right. Nice guy. Super nice guy. I've been like a little reassured by meeting the nice folks on Twitch, the other streamers, the folks that are looking to kind of share their time with random strangers on the internet. Sort of giving me a little bit of a restorative kick for humanity. All right. See you later, Brush. Thank you. All right. Oh, you know what I need? I shouldn't have put that away yet. So I'm going to go back here, and I realized that I wanted to do this trim. He's got a tiny bit of... so there's this line that wraps around. I figure it's probably like his collar, right? He's got this fancy collar that goes around, and it comes down here. And then there's this piping that goes down. And I wanted to get that to be yellow as well, because it's going to help me break up this spot that is just purple. I feel like he's probably got a little gem there, so I'll do that a little bit later. We're going to tuck it down over here and get a little tiny bit of a continuation of that as it's wrapped around. I feel like I should do that on the edge. The very edge of this fold, I want to give it that yellow stripe. So I feel like the inside of this robe is a golden yellow. See, it adds a little bit of a break in that purple wrap. So it's not just like a purple skirt. It obviously is. There's something going on. You take a drink of water. 17 people. That's good for only 8:27 tonight. Hi, how is everybody doing? Oh, really? Bring them in, or her, or them. Send that link over. Pass it around. Okay. So I feel like all of the filigrees, trying to decide if I'm going to do them in silver or gold. If I do them in gold metallic, they might blend in. They might blend into the. They might blend into the rest of the golden orange yellow I've done. So I'm almost thinking that I need to do them in a silver bronze. That's not a bad idea. Might be a little darker. Might work out well. If I do them in a bronze. Yeah, that might work. Done. There you go, Gillian. Yeah, I like it. Now that I mentioned it, I called attention to it, and now we're down to 14. But that's okay. I had to point it out. No, that totally makes sense. Definitely. And bronze can be a nice subtle demarcation point against the purple. I don't think it's gonna be too jarring. And a lot of the colors I'm using for the highlights tend to be in that temperature. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of the cyan and yellow contrast paint on those suspenders that I just did. And I'm going to use one of my little teeny brushes because I don't want it to get too crazy. So we're going to go with the 000. This guy right here. I do very much like these brushes. Artis Opus. Nice. Very nice. So for any of you guys that are new to the channel, I appreciate you stopping by just to see what it's about. We're super chill. The community is fantastic. The people who hang out here on Tuesdays and Thursdays are amazing folks. I do have a Discord, and I love to see what people are working on. We have a chromatic art gallery, so if anybody's working on miniatures or any sort of art, feel free to post it in there. Don't be shy. And if you have something that you are proud of that you accomplished during the day, I also have a channel for everyday accomplishments, because you know what? Everybody deserves a little bit of pride in what they do. So if it's something that you feel like had a little bit of extra effort required and you want to share your accomplishment, go for it. Pop it in that channel. That's the snow base on Jester. It might be a little bit washed out. The snow has definitely melted around her feet. I do want to. I haven't even gone back and done the little gloss varnish on that. But I might go in and add some subtle shading to some of the snow. I might go in and do a little bit of blue. Take some of the blue wash Army Painter quick shade stuff and do like little lines of blue so that it seeps into all the little nooks and crannies and makes it kind of look cool. But I haven't got back over to that yet. All right, let's go for the... Oh, whacked the camera. Sorry. Oh, where was it? It was somewhere around there. Sorry about that. Just whacked you guys all on the side of the head. Alright. This is hammered copper. I'd say it in Italian, but I would butcher the heck out of it. Gonna drop a little tiny bit of that in. I do not need a lot. I do not need a lot of it. I played a bit too much with the purple. Mixing it around and stuff, but I'm gonna stick with the 000 brush. Gonna grab just a bit of this, and I'm gonna carefully go over the filigree. It might actually be hard to see on stream. Not sure if the camera is going to pick it up, but I think you'll be able to see it. Because what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll do some more highlights on this as well. I feel like this is a clasp or a button. Gotta make sure your brush stays pretty wet when you're working with the metallics. Metallic paints can get chunky if you're not careful. So I'm just being real careful right down in here. Try not to go too crazy with the bronze, with the hammered copper, but I think these buttons I'm also going to do in this copper. I could. And I've never really separated out brushes for metallic paint. I rinse them very quickly when I'm done with them. I keep the paint pretty wet, and I don't let them sit. In general, I don't let any paint sit in the brush. But when it comes to metallic paints, I'm particularly careful with it. Alright. Let's get these little details on the back. I mean, Poser, I might be committing horrible things upon my poor brushes by using the metallics with the sable brushes, but I have never been advised not to. I'm not saying I am correct. Just saying that it hasn't been something that has come up in the past for me. It's got a lot of little, like, funky details down here. Alright, I need to move up one stage. I'm going to move up to Brassy Brass, and we're going to start sort of a highlight layer. I don't need nearly as much, so I just kind of dabbed it on the wet palette. I'm basically going to be working only in the upper halves of the individual bits. So like these curves on the top of the this pattern, I'm just going to do right along the edge. Then I'm going to do it down here. Essentially, I'm just working on making them stand out a little bit more. A slightly brighter color is going to do that, and we're just going to work up. I may even actually go into a silver at some point. But I want it to stand out just a bit. So whenever there's a fold or a bulge or something in the fabric, I'm going to apply a little bit of this to it. I mean, the main thing whenever you're painting is to make sure that the brush isn't completely saturated. Like you only want the paint on the edge, like the tip of the bristles. You don't want it to get all the way up there. Because it's when it starts to sort of seep into the ferrule area of the paintbrush is when you start getting problems. Yeah, that makes sense. Port, you're on the money. More often than not, I tend to use very small amounts of metallics because I prefer putting them in as a highlight rather than like a detail piece rather than like the majority. It's gonna look pretty good. I'm a little bit nervous about the front of his vest, or the front of the robe thing here. I feel like I missed some spots where it needs to be a little bit more highlighted, but I don't want to do any sort of weird... I don't want to overdo it. I'm going outside. Thank you for the follow. I super appreciate the name. I think that gets us real close. We're at like 160 now if it updates properly, which would be awesome. I am very gradually approaching that 200 glass ceiling of 200 followers. There's a bit of a spot right there that I want to make sure it's highlighted so it's just this real thin line. That's better. I mean, it happens, man. It's the paints are there to make whatever it is you're working on come alive. And if you happen to be working on things that are mostly metallic, then you are going to be using, logically, mostly metallic colors. No surprise. I'm not like disparaging metallics. I just have a tendency to use them sparingly. I feel like I'm going to have to put some highlights on those suspenders because they're a little bit too dark, but I was going to do this. I'll do it at the same time as I'm working on the bracers. Definitely has some filigree there, so maybe I'll be doing the same thing. Let's see how this stands out. If it does. No, it does not. It's not even standing out at all. Should I make those purple? I just didn't want to have it all purple right towards the middle. Maybe I should darken them up a little bit. I did, when I was doing large batches of miniatures at the shop, I definitely did have a metallic rinse cup and a non-metallic rinse cup. I can certainly advise that. Yeah, maybe I should. Sort of like the goggles and the belt pouches and the belts. Might help things stand out a little bit. It does kind of just make a big old blotch of color right in the middle. I'm going to grab a tiny amount of the somber gray that I was using for the head of the hammer and the tools in his pouch. And while I am here, I'm going to get those done. Is my stream chunking? looks like it's getting kind of chunky. That would be weird. Let's get these guys. Oh, hey, we're back up to 17. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Oh, weird. Sounds like a traffic issue. Must have got chunked up someplace along the way. Happy little glitches. I tend to highlight the somber gray with just a tiny dash of the wolf gray. Most of these are super small details, so I don't need to do lots of layering with them or blending. Yep, you are spot on. That is, as far as I know, that is what Pumat do. Yeah, let's do that. Where is my leather? Leather brown. Leather. I find it interesting that when I pull my hands away from the figure, the lighting gets super washed out. One of these days there will be... Oh, that would be the little teeny brush for this. What am I doing? Don't abuse the little teeny brush. I'm going to go back to the number 1. Artist Opus Series 1. Series S, size 1. Don't bother, don't mind my brain. Get these leathered up, shall we? It's funny because they're so close. The leather color is so close to the kind of orange that I was using. It's almost difficult to tell the difference. But what I'll do... So I'll probably put a darker tone wash over this to give some shading and get down into the cracks. Good suggestion. We've got a couple of good suggestions this evening. I appreciate the input. And I'm sure if Delirium thought it was a bad idea, he would pipe up. And again, so long as you do a smooth coat, you can make you can change your mind, you can change your direction, and it's not going to really hurt the overall quality of detail. You do not need to apologize. When it comes down to it, I am open to suggestions. I appreciate the input and the discourse. And I feel like through collaboration we come up with some of the best paint schemes. My friend Adam and I used to come up with some pretty ridiculous stuff at the GW store. And the guys that used to work there, we'd all hang out and chat about various goofy ideas we had for things and would come up with some really cool stuff. What did I do? I seem to have put a big fuchsia dot right there. I'm gonna have to fix that. How do I do the hammer handles? This is Vallejo Golden Yellow. I'm going to use it to cover that little fuchsia spot on his collar. Right here. Doesn't take much. Just a little bit, and it should blend in pretty well. And while I'm at it, since I'm here, I said I wanted to put a little bit of a highlight shade on the suspenders. We're going to do that too. Just a little pull to kind of lighten it up, add some reflective to the surface. The whiteboard. Do it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of mohawks, especially on anything in 40K, because I remember in the old Rogue Trader book, a lot of the unhelmeted guys had crazy 80s hair. Oh my god, that's a perfect emote for that. Green stuff can be tricky to work with, but once you get the hang of it, it's not that bad. Alright, I'm going to use some of the strong tone on the bracers. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing to keep in mind is don't put too much pressure on green stuff. You need less than you think you do. Like you can take two tiny little bits. If the ball of green stuff is as big as Pumat's hand here, which is like smaller than the nub of this paint pot, you probably have too much. Um, so cut it down just a little bit, flatten it out in a nice fan, do the details, and then before it hardens up, just apply it to the head, contour it a bit. If you've already painted the head, it might be tricky because I don't know if it's going to stay. But a lot of the time, once you basically push it on, so you've got the contour, gently remove it or leave it there until it hardens. And then after it hardens, boink, pop it off. And then apply a little tiny bit of super glue. And then tuck it back in, and because you've formed it to whatever the contour of the head is, it's going to have a nice, a really nice set of connections. So it's going to connect, and it's going to contact in really, really nice ways. So you will have a really solid contact point for gluing. At least that's the way I would do it. I feel like that's going to look real nice when it dries up. Again, since I'm the only one, I'm the audio portion of our conversation. Anything I suggest you can take or leave. It takes a little while to harden. I would probably leave it overnight, but if you let it sit there while you're doing the rest of the mini this evening, by the time we're done, I'm willing to bet that you can pop it off and let it sit, and it will dry. Just kind of like I said, leave it up there or take it off. But you want to have it sitting in a spot where it's not pressing on whatever it is and ruining your curve. But it should look fantastic. However, it's 9 o'clock, and I want to stand up for a second. And then we'll kind of accelerate our progress on Pumat here and finish him up. Highlights on the leathers and the shoes and stuff like that. We'll do the base, finish up the bracers, and then line them up with the other three. So everybody stand up, take a break. See you back in a minute. Big stretch. Definitely big stretch. Hopefully the ad wasn't anything weird. I'm pretty sure I did a little bit of desert yellow, possibly some mummy robes for the highlights on the leathers. I should be able to stick with my larger brush for this. We're just going to hit the upraised sections. Kind of like painting the lumps in the bag. Calling out the weird little divots and details and stuff. That's all we're looking for. Don't have to go too crazy. Little fasteners and try and get the top edge of this belt. And the pouch that he's got, so this one has an extra pouch on the side here. It does. It's kind of cool. They did a good job making him more distinct from the others by giving him some extra stuff. And his belt has some extra buckles on it, some actual buckles. That's looking pretty good. Let's do a little bit on the bracers. Just a real gentle sort of tickle of the brush on the edges and things like that will get you the effect you're looking for. Brush down from the top. This is where the lighter part is going to be. It's where the light's going to reflect a bit. Take a little bit of a play on the boots. These boots are darker than my other ones. So I'm going to actually go back and grab some of the leather brown. Just gonna hit the ankles, around the calves, and the heel and stuff. He's got some straps that the other guys do not have. Some bits. Probably going to do a dark tone wash over this as well, because I'd like to darken up his boots a little bit. Go to the strong tone that I had already pulled out and just kind of splash it over the shoes. I need the chainmail silver. I'm going to highlight some of the bronze with the chainmail silver. And I'm going to do the little filigree bits on the bracers with it as well. Just enough to give it some reflection. Or, oh, no. He's an enchanter. What's wrong with me? I have a better color. I have polished blue. I have a blue metallic. I feel like the blue metallic will go perfectly on the bracers. So we're gonna save that for the bracers, and I'm gonna highlight the tops of the brass on the robe with this silver. We're just gonna touch it in a couple of places. Make it stand out a little bit. Top of this buckle, a little bit in here. You don't need to go crazy with it. Just a little bit will do. Now let me get my metallic blue. I love this paint, this metallic blue paint. It is an ancient Citadel paint, and it is still good. Yes, you have. See, that's what I'm looking for right there. I'm going to be using, I think I'm going to be using a lot of this particular one with Alyastra's dragon. I had a purple, and I have sadly misplaced it and have not been able to find it recently. Yeah, that works for me. That works for me. The blue metallic on the filigree and the bracers, I believe, is what was required. I'm going to grab a little bit of the dark tone, and I'm going to use it on the bracers because I'd like to kind of pick out some of the crevices and details. And since it's on the front, I mean, he's got the belts and things like that, but the bracers are right in the middle of his work. So I imagine that they have been weathered and darkened up quite a bit. So I'm just going to bring it through the cracks. Kind of use it to get the shady areas, give it some definition. This is sort of that point shading and shadowing you can do with this stuff. It's really, really nice, and it's an easy thing to do if you feel like it needs to be a little tiny bit darker in some places, and it'll give it some depth. And if you use it in the cracks of something that is white, like stormtroopers, it takes care of that undersuit for you. That's better. Because this is what I was doing with the buckles on the other guys, I'm going to continue on this. I'm going to use the somber gray to start it. It's going to stand out just enough. And not necessarily be a metallic color, which is nice. He's got some buckles down here on his boots. Hey Neff, how are you? Alright, let me grab, where was that? That's the yellow. Don't need that one right now, I need this one. Hey Noah. I wish there were other people at your office that could be competent, so that you didn't have to work until 9:15 at night. Just highlighting the strap that goes around his head for his fancy artificer goggles, or at least the monocle. All right, let's get on to the base. I have the desert yellow for it right over here. You have been lurking. Trudeau Ninja is in the blood. I wanted to get Hamilton in the mail yesterday, but I didn't get out when the weather was nice, and then I got busy doing other stuff, so did not have enough pictures of him. So I apologize. But he is in the mail now. He should be there in a couple of days. And I sent him back the same way. I sent him back priority with tracking, so he should not be lost. Alright, I'm going to do a little bit of skeleton bone as a extreme highlight on the sand area. So let's get that done. And then we'll apply some grass, some static grass. So again, dry brushing is a pretty simple technique. You want to get the brush fairly, not heavily like saturated, but just a bit. And usually dry brushes are slightly different than some other brushes. They tend to be slightly more firm bristles. And you just lightly drag it over an area. And since you don't have a completely saturated brush, just going to tend to hit highlights, upraised sections, things like that. That's how that do. And I like to do, most of the time if I'm doing some sort of dry brushing, I do it in a couple of stages. You got the base coat color, then you stage up once or twice, you go up to another color above that, and then you go up to a highlight or two above that, and you sort of lower the amount of space that you're covering with the dry brush while you're doing it, so that you can have a bit of a gradient and everything. Alright, where is my glue? Come here. Little dab of my old PVA glue bottle. Oh, too much. We're okay. Didn't make too much of a mess. Where is my base coat brush? There it is. Alright. And I'm going to put a little bit of grass over here, close to the boot, right up to the edge. A little bit over here in the front. I like to kind of like tap the brush down onto it, onto the base, because then you make sure you get it into the little grooves and nooks and stuff like that. I'm going to put a little bit over here behind him. But that should do. I don't want to overdo it. Kind of think of static grass as a highlight and not a major coat. All right, pop him off the holder. Grab a little pinch of it and just let it sprinkle on. Whereas if when I'm doing gravel, I dip the base in. I prefer to do this for the static grass because I want it to be a light amount. I don't necessarily need it to go, I don't want it to be pushed onto the base. I want it to kind of fall onto the base so that it's a light sprinkle. And I tap the bottom to knock it off. And then we do kind of holding, you're blowing towards the bottom of the base to make it stand up. A little bit of wind. Brush off the excess static grass from your clothing. And And let's see, we've got a yellow ring, a blue ring, a red ring, and obviously this is going to have to be a purple ring. Going back to the old hexed lichen color, this guy right here. Probably don't need quite that much. Grab my old large brush. Try and kind of hold it top and bottom. This is a good purple. Coats very well. I'm only gently holding the miniature. I'm not like squeezing or sliding my hand along the top of his head because at the moment he is not seal coated, so he doesn't necessarily. I could accidentally rub away a layer of paint if I squeeze too hard. Light touches is all you need. There we go. Bam! Pumat Prime, I think. I'm gonna let the edge of his base dry, but we've got Prime 2, 3, and 4. Darn it. Come here, buddy. I like them. I think they're cool. That is the full set of Pumats. A little bit of a shadow on them. Trying to find a good spot. Can I get my hands down around it? Oh, there we go. What do you think, Delirium? You like them? I think they come out quite well. So, that means that these guys are all done in the back here. Move this guy over here. What if I did this? There we go. Alright, Jester, come here please. I want to touch up your base a little bit more. Tail's a little muddy, but that's okay. Where's my gloss varnish? I'm going to play around a little bit in the mud with Jester, I think. Considering she's basically melting the snow around her feet, we're going to do this. And I'm just going to apply gloss varnish underneath her. and around her feet and on her boots a bit so they look like they're a little wet. And then I was talking about doing that sort of shading with the blue. So this is a wash. This is a blue tone wash. I'm going to grab a little bit of it. I don't want to go crazy. So I'm going to start with a small amount. I'm going to get my 00 brush. This guy right here. I'm going to grab a bunch of what I've got on the palette. And then what I want to do is I want to make lines. Just little ones occasionally through the snow here. Sort of, especially around where the melted area is. Random thought. I figured I'd give it a shot. See how it looks. And at the moment, I'm liking it. Didn't need a lot, just a little. Just gonna break it up just a little bit. What was that? Care SC2 or Karesk. I think it's Care SC2. Thank you for the follow. Apologize for the name butcher. But I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I love it when I get the little notifications, because the little chromomancer on the notifications with the psychedelic robe, it makes me happy. 161 followers. That's awesome. Thank you, Care. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're a chill stream. I mean, we're just here to hang out, relax a bit, get some painting done. And yeah, I mean, just working on stuff, finishing up some figures. This is the end of that line of minis. So I've got a half an hour. I think, talking away from the mic so you guys probably can't hear me, what we're going to do next is Proper and I and the rest of the crew are super nice. They're fantastic people, and I am a pretty good painter, mostly just from practice. Let's see. What do we got back here? All right. So in honor of being done with the Critical Role miniatures, I've got options. I've got that guy. Mohawk done. Nice. We've got this guy, which would be the third Pathfinder mini deep cut. This is a green dragon. That is an ancient green dragon. That's a baby brass dragon. That's an ancient green dragon. I have a Blood Bowl team to finish. And I will also be getting back into the Star Wars figures that I need to paint for Co-op. So, we've got some stuff. I've got a bunch of stuff to work on. Yep. The green will be fun. You want to see an old mini? Look at this guy. This is an old Cyclops. And by old Cyclops, whoa! 10. Thank you very much, Care. Wow. That was completely unexpected, and thank you. That was awesome. It's greatly appreciated. It is greatly appreciaed. I am a little bit flustered, but thank you very much. That is fantastic. Yeah, so what was I talking about? I've got a bunch of these old figures. These guys are a friend. They belong to a friend of mine, and he is. Every time I get about a dozen or so done. Wow. Every time I get about a dozen or so done, I deliver them. That was super kind. Dring, dring, dring. Yeah, awesome. It is. I'm gonna start working on these guys occasionally as well. I've got probably, what do I got? 7 or 8 done. I need to put together 4 or 5 more. It's entirely possible. It's entirely possible. There we go. So yeah, I'm going to put a base coat on this. And you're going to subscribe yourself. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Care. That was unnecessary but greatly appreciated. Yeah, let's just do a quick base coat in the last couple of minutes here. I can't really get him on the holder because he's on a corkboard square. So these guys are super rough. Yeah, you have access to the Tier 1 emotes. Tier 1 emotes were done by a lovely, fantastic person named Bullet Betty. She is a fantastic artist, and she does awesome emotes for streams and my stream avatar and the shelves that hold the bottles of paints and stuff. You know what, Carrie? That is exactly what I'm shooting for. Relax, unwind, chill out. Let the bad day go. And I'm very happy that that's what you got out of it. So, yeah, Betty is fantastic. She is super positive. She is a amazing individual. And she's a big goofball too, which doesn't hurt. Let's see. Let's go with some dark brown. We're going to go with the charred brown because he's got these furry legs going on. I could rip the cork off, but all of them are on the corks, and he has them set up so that they fit in squares on hex maps and or squares on hex maps. There are no squares on hex maps. He has them for adventures and dungeon tiles and stuff. So it's a placeholder. And he literally is looking for quick paints. These guys are like, hey, if you get a second, you've got nothing you want to do, or you want to take a break from doing something else, just rip a couple of these suckers out, because I've got 300 of them. And so I've got a bunch of them up on the shelf behind me. He's got many, many, many miniatures to paint. So these guys are all kind of the fill in between miniature history. This is basically miniature history. This one, if I were to pull the cork off the bottom of it and I looked at it, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 82. 82 to 88 most likely. Some of the ones that he's had me paint were 70. So it's fun when you've got a box full of miniatures that are older than you are. Or as old. Or around as old as you are. It's true. It's true, but as far as the lines go, the triangles that hexes are made out of don't tend to be right triangles. Just doing the scorched brown for the fur base down here. So these guys, as I said, he requested a quick paint because any color on these is better than the way they showed up. He got them in a batch. It's like essentially like an eBay kind of big old batch of old miniatures. I did all of his BattleTech guys early on in the stream history here, in the stream career. And I've done more of his other miniatures and things lately, but the BattleTech ones were first set. There were a dozen of those. So again, in this case, it's an old lead mini. And some of these guys, it's funny because I've said before that complex miniatures, while they may look intimidating, they're a little bit easier to paint and have look good as long as you can keep in the lines, quote unquote, you know, the effectively the lines, the borders of the colors, what colors need to go where. And that can be achieved by contrast paints and washes and stuff, so you can get your base coats down and then do lots of fun tricks to kind of speed that up and then come back in and do some highlights and details and pick out the little fancy bits and bobs on them. These guys lack in detail in most cases. Like, there is a distinct lack of detail on many of these figures. It is kind of hard occasionally to find spots to put color on. And make, you know, differentiate from the rest of it. But we're basically going to rip through this and speed paint this guy. Now that his hairy fuzzy bits are done, we're going to do a tanned flesh coat. And that was the Army Painter tanned flesh. Not the Vallejo one. But I kind of mix them together. And again, I'm just ripping through here. We're going to cover them. As a base coat, you don't need to worry too much. You just don't want it to be chunky. You don't want it to be thick and nasty. You just want it to kind of go on under. He's got a hairy armpit. What's funny is a lot of these old miniatures, a lot of these sort of first generation fantasy figures they lack detail drastically in one direction, but then they have things like armpit hair. Why? I don't even get it. Is it necessary? Yes, he's a hairy dude. He's a hairy, nasty, like three-fingered Cyclops monster man. Yeah, I got some of those. Got some of those old figures. The old lead and pewter castings. They were interesting. That's for sure. And at the time, they were like probably like pretty darn good. Because at that time when they started out, they weren't really competing against anybody for that scale of miniature. You had Napoleonics, which were super small. And then you just had, I don't know, like model trains. I guess whatever people were, you know, sold for model train kind of terrain set pieces, you know, the little townsfolk that you put on train sets. So the reason why this is looking splotchy is because I'm putting the coat on pretty thin. This is an old prime job, so the primer on this is definitely been here for a while. But we're just doing a quick paint. Quick paint. Think of this as kind of a, I don't know, like you go out and you exercise or whatever, you're out running or something like that. You've got your cool down period after you've done some serious exercise, and this is my cool down period, and this will be. Yep. That's the thought. And that's kind of the that's the idea with these guys. Paint a dozen quickly, just get some color on them. Make sure that there's some detail that can be picked out. Don't go too crazy trying to you know, they're individual pieces. They're just one-offs in most cases. Some of them, like the skeletons, there's, you know, a dozen or so of them, and they're all like closely posed together, but they're not necessarily matching. So we're just slapping a base coat on. Has that anybody ever been to a games day? Like a Baltimore, Maryland Games Workshop convention weekend in the Baltimore Convention Center. Honest to goodness games day. Because they'd have fun things like speed painting contests and stuff like that. And the funny part about those is you're like, I need to get this done quick, and you're trying to rip through, and you end up with the colors kind of mashing up and squishing together because you can't really get to them. You don't have enough time to let them properly dry. Like, you sit down and it's like 10 minutes, paint this miniature, blah, 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 blah. Get it done as fast as you can. That's basically what we're looking for. He's got like warts and stuff on him. You're gross. Hairy Cyclops man. They gave you armpit hair, but only 3 fingers on each hand. Splurp, splurp. Silly old mini. These are fun though. I had a Warhammer orc that I used as a black orc boss in a unit for a while. That was one of the old ones. It was one of the old ancient, like 80, 78, you know, that era miniature. I know. They're like, well, he's got no pants and a furry butt, so let's give him some serious keister sticking out. Oh, there's booty. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. He do. He's got goat booty. He's got goat leg booty. Alright, let's do... Make sure I got the hooves done. I mean, in most cases, the way they used to make these, they didn't do it in CAD, they didn't do it in a 3D rendering program, they didn't do any sort of, like, poser or anything like that. There was no computer involved in the creation. Somebody sculpted this with a little wireframe and some modeling putty. It was done in modeling putty and green stuff and whatever, so. Somebody sculpted this by hand. And then it was cast. And they molded it. And they made multiple copies. And that was how ancient minis do. So, I mean, it was kind of cool. The whole process was kind of interesting. If you ever got to watch somebody working on them. Blarg. He's so funny. Look on his face is ridiculous. It's like the face you make when you stub your toe in the middle of the night, but he's got hooves. What color should we make his eye? He's got a big eye, so I'm going to color it red, right? I mean, it does. You get one jammed up between the two cleft hoof things. Oh man, that must suck. Anyway, we're getting close. We're getting close to the end. We got 9 minutes left. We'll see what we can finish up on this guy. Just as a little bonus miniature. But I would like to welcome every single new person who came by this evening, and thank you very, very much for stopping in. You guys are the reason why I do this, I enjoy painting and I enjoy chatting with you folks while I paint. So thank you very much for coming in. Playing around with the cheeks here. Hey. Thank you for the new follows. Thank you for the new subscriptions. Thank you too for gifting the heck out of some folks. That was amazing. Yeah, the best part about it is just hanging out and having someone to talk to. So I really, really appreciate it, especially in these times right now where it's really tricky to kind of keep your head on straight. It is important to have folks to chat with. So I appreciate it. I want to make sure everybody stays healthy. Keep your head on straight. It's hard to do right now. We're finding out that there are people that we thought highly of that don't seem to deserve it. And, you know, try not to hate them back. You know, hate just gets more hate. I feel sorry for them. And maybe they'll come around, you know. Maybe they'll come around. That's all we need to worry about. Keep our heads on straight. Love each other. Keep yourselves healthy. And yeah, and we'll get through it. We don't necessarily have a great support structure other than each other when it comes to us unfortunate folks in the US. For those folks outside of the US, I envy you, and I am very proud of the way you have all handled this pandemic. You've treated it with the respect it needed to be treated with, and you are making it through. Don't let the news fool you. There are a lot of us here in the US that are also doing the right thing, wearing masks for the other people, and doing our best to flatten that curve. Because if we don't care for everyone, we're not going to get anywhere. I hope that you all had a nice, relaxing evening here in my workshop, and I look forward to seeing you back on Thursday, which will not be a Critical Role Thursday, as it has been since I started doing this. It will be something different. So let's have some fun and see what we can do for Thursday. Oh man, I love these things. Washes on old minis. It's cheating. It really is. That was 15 minutes. All you gotta do. Oh yeah. Okay. I cheated. Oh boy. Hey, so the next question. We've got 12 folks still around. Thank you very much for hanging around till the end. I'm gonna do a quick raid, and I need to find somebody to raid. So let's do that, shall we? Who are we looking for? I want to go to... I like going into the art category. Let's find a small streamer. Anybody have any suggestions? Is he on? But he's usually ending around now, isn't he? Yeah, why don't we just raid BLT, shall we? Raid channel. Good night, Asian Dragon. Thank you very much for coming by. Appreciate the visit every time. Here we go.